Bonjour, new moons. I am Josie the Mustang, the afro-latina, Regina George of Witches, and you're aligned with the frequency of the Luanova podcast. And in today's episode, we are using the ultimate elixir, the one that you should have access to, the one that I think I don't even have to say much about for you to just be able to use to your advantage. And that would be the spell itself, water. Okay, that is the ultimate elixir. That is why the title has that. It has that right there. I have 100 titles right now in front of me. I haven't chosen one just yet as to which one I want to go with. But shout out to the Luanova team for helping me come up with titles, because I gave them some and I was like, I don't know which one. Help me pick one. So they're going to help me pick one later in editing. But as we talk about this magical elixir that is water, I want you to understand that it's the most important part of what manifestation is. Because in order to have the correct mindset, you have to be rested. You have to have water. What are we mainly made up of? Water. As a practicing witch, whenever I do any sort of work, protection work, money work, I don't really do love workings, but let's say I'm going to do a self-love spell, all of that, at some point, my moon water comes into play. At some point, my regular water comes into play. And so, yes, I will briefly discuss how to make moon water. I have already talked about it before, so I won't get too far into that. Making moon water is extremely simple, so it's not really a deep explanation that I need to go into. Way back in season 1, I talked about using certain frequencies with water. I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to get more into that. And the brand that I drink has been my go-to brand for years now. Now, back in the day, I would, fluctuate, but I would always go back to this particular brand. And now it is exclusively the only brand that I drink. Now, I am not being paid to endorse them, so I'm not going to say too much about the brand itself, but I am going to recommend them to you because I think, based on the color of the bottle and the type of water itself, that it's the best for manifestation. And it does come in the option to either have the still water or sparkling water, depending on what you prefer. Okay, there are certain brands that I would say are a hard no, like Dasani. Okay, sorry Dasani, but absolutely not. And I would recommend that if you're not going to be using spring water for this particular episode, where I'm going to go into how to use this, that you get alkaline water or filtered water. Now, I am going to ask you to do one thing if you don't have it already, and that is get a glass bottle for this. Okay, now if you don't already have a glass bottle, there are likely dollar stores in your area where you can find one. If you have, let's say, a leftover wine bottle, something like that, put your water in there. But the bottle needs to be glass, okay? I'm going to heavily emphasize that, because when it comes to working with frequencies and energies, glass is your best bet. Think about it. Whenever I do spell work, I use crystals. Okay, now crystals are not glass, but think about why I would use crystals, because they are a mineral that is from where? Earth. Okay, so when it comes to glass, what do you think would be easiest to get to that water when it comes to frequencies? Glass, not plastic. Okay, so I am just going to ask you to not use plastic for this. If that's all you have, you don't have any other options, okay. If you have copper, that works too. If you have, it doesn't have to be glass, but I recommend glass based on what I'm going to be talking about. So while you get your water and your bottle, if it doesn't already come in a glass bottle, I am just going to ask all of my new listeners or people who have not done so already to go to luanovapodcast.net and read that disclaimer, okay? Because you need to know, this will forever be an anti-Donald Trump podcast, that I am a proud Afro-Latina who very proudly waves my Brazilian and Mexican flags and will never back down from that, ever, ever, ever. And will never back down from being not only a proud Afro-Latina, but a proud witch and a proud, intelligent Afro-Latina. So there are certain vibes and tropes here that I expect from my new moons, from the Luanova staff, and from myself. Okay, so I just wanted you to read that disclaimer so that you'll get an idea of just who you're talking to, because I have new listeners every single week. So I want you to know, okay, this is the type of person that this is. This is who I vibe with. All right. So just to kind of give you an idea, but definitely read that disclaimer. And while you are doing that, one moment, because I'm actually going to go grab my water. It's a little farther away than I thought it was.
Lua Nova Codes of Manifestation. Códigos de manifestação Lua Nova.
Code 121. The universe matches your energy, not your excuses. So let's tap into our manifestation dreams for a moment. And I want you to picture some scenarios for me. The first one being a soft morning where the light, you know how the sun will lightly filter in through curtains if you have those. Picture the curtains swaying because maybe the balcony door is open. And the sheets that you're wrapped in, they are silk. And you just feel good, okay? You wake up, you got the prints all over your cheek. You know, that's when you know you've slept really well, right? And then, so you look over on your marble nightstand because, you know, you're like, I need something. I need to wake up. And right there in a beautiful crystal tumbler, there's sparkling water waiting for you. Perfect temperature, even, okay? And so what do? You sip that. And think of another scenario now. You are next to this beautiful, it's like a turquoise colored infinity pool. And it's the infinity pool, it feels like, or it seems like it's spilling right into the horizon, right? And you're under one of those linen cabanas and you can just hear the water moving. It's quiet, but it's not too quiet. And you can just smell like these beautiful flowers around you. And so as you recline back, just to kind of take it all in and really think about where you are in your life, you've reached for what? A beautiful chilled glass of water. Okay. And the next scenario that I want you to picture is this late afternoon right off of the Amalfi Coast. Okay. And so here you are, you're at this cute little wrought iron table and you're overlooking the sea. And so the air, it feels like sea salt and just happiness and peace. And what is brought to your table next is a carafe of sparkling water. All right. And it seems like the sunlight is just beaming off of it. It looks magical. So the next scenario that I want you to think about is candles all around a clawfoot tub. And if you don't know what that is, that's the tubs that are kind of centered by themselves. And they have their legs literally look like a clawfoot. So think about, most tubs don't have feet. They're just kind of a tub. But this one does. Okay. And you're in this tub and it's got bubbles. You hear your favorite soft music playing. Maybe like myself, you like to listen to classical music so you can get in the right mindset when you're trying to meditate or when you're trying to kind of turn off the world. That's what I like to do. But you know, maybe for you prefer to listen to your favorite artist instead. Okay. And so that's what's playing for you. And so instead of switching, instead of champagne, you say, you know what? I really want to have all of the memories of this moment, being in this luxurious tub full of bubbles. And so I would actually like to have sparkling water in my champagne flute. And so that's what you get. Okay. And so you sit back and you're sipping your sparkling water as you just think about, look at how far I've come. Or maybe for you prefer this beautiful desert scene. Here you are, and you're grounding, so you're barefoot. And so you're just overlooking this sun-drenched terrace and red sandstone cliffs everywhere. All right. And so the desert wind, it has like this kind of a bit of sage, like the hint of sage. And you can just see the sun beaming on everything, but you love it. You love how it feels on your skin. And in your hand, as you look down, is a glass of water. A glass, by the way. Or maybe for you want to just sit out on the balcony and you want to look over this beautiful skyline. And as you're doing that on this balcony, you're sitting back, you sit back on this really comfortable chair, and you're just looking at all of the giant buildings, and they look almost like there's diamonds on them, just sparkling, right? And so what do you have in your hand? A chilled bottle of water. Glass bottle, by the way. And so as you think about those ideas of what that feels like, what comes to mind? Words like luxury, words like richness. And what was the main theme here? Water. Because what you did to get to these different scenarios is that you used water. And so when you reach these scenarios, and I've talked about other ones before, your beachfront property, the company that you own, adopting that hamster or that guinea pig, or marrying the love of your life. What I want you to have, yes, even at your wedding, is this amazing elixir that I'm about to tell you how to make. Okay. So starting off, you have your glass bottle of water, right? Do you want to make it moon water? That's up to you. If you want to make it moon water, I'm going to describe this very quickly. What you're going to do is take that glass bottle of water and pick a moon phase. Remember, the moon goes into different phases. It's not always just in one phase. And you can do this during a full moon, a waxing moon, or a new moon. And the reason why I'm not mentioning the waning moon is that the waning moon is when we want to remove something from our life. Okay, so we typically use water that has been made during a waning moon or a thunderstorm whenever we're getting more into baneful or hexing or removing or protection work. Okay, so I'm not going to be discussing that in this episode, but I do want you to keep that in mind too. You can make eclipse water, you can make thunderstorm water, tornado water, whatever you want to make. And how you do that is you will take that glass bottle and set it right outside. Now, typically, if it's already empty, then you're collecting that rainwater, okay, storm water, etc. But if it's full, that is more of when we're making moon water. Now, does this apply to thunderstorms if the water already is full? So, Josie, can I take a full glass bottle of water and set it outside during a thunderstorm, and now it's thunderstorm water? Yes. Now, I recommend, letting a little bit of that water get in there. That's up to you. But yes, you can, because what you are saying is you want the frequency of the thunderstorm. You want the frequency of this hard rain that is coming down, right? So that is the same thing, but you're not using it the same way. Okay. Moon water is when you are setting this glass bottle of water during the moon. So you're going to wait for the moon to be at a specific peak. I recommend downloading an app to tell you when is the best time to set that water outside. The one that I use, I think it is just called, I'm actually going to tell you, and no, I'm not being paid. I don't get paid to endorse all of these things, but I do. I always give all these shout outs. It is called Moon Phase, okay? And I have an iPhone, so I don't know if it's available on Android. I'm sure it is. But there's a million apps that tell you when the moon is at different areas, okay? So new moon, different phases. That's what I'm trying to say. New moon, waxing moon, full moon, etc. Okay? So when you're making moon water, you don't want to leave it out the entire time. You want to make sure that you get up early enough to grab it before the sun comes up. And that is because, yes, you can leave it out in the sun, but now it's not just moon water. Now it's sun and moon water. Okay, so yes, you can work with the sun as well. That's a little bit trickier because obviously the sun can bake the water, essentially. It could bake the water, boil the water. That's what I was trying to say. Why can't I get my words together? I told you, the second I hit record, I don't know if it's because I have a million notes in front of me. Everything I want to say just runs together. But yeah, that is how you make moon water. Got it? Yes, you can put crystals in the water so long as they are crystals that are made for water. So there are some crystals that will completely dissolve in water. So, you can't use those, but just make sure whatever crystal it is that you want to use, that you do look up if it is safe to use in water. Okay. So now you know, I can just use water to have this amazing life. Who knew? Well, I knew. That's what I'm telling you. And so there is not only just a magic behind this, there's actually a science behind it. I want to talk to you briefly about a doctor that did a study on water retaining memory. Okay. And maybe you've seen this on social media, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, but it came to be because of this particular doctor. I don't want to ruin how to say his name, so my apologies to those of you who speak Japanese. Just know that I tried my hardest on learning how to say his name the correct way. Dr. Masaru Emoto, okay? And of course, the Spanish and Portuguese jump in there, right? And, and they badly want me to say it that way. But Dr. Emoto, he was a Japanese researcher, and he became well known for his studies, but on human consciousness. But this one that stood out to me was about the molecular structure of water, because what he found has been deeply influential to not just me, but other types of, witches, spiritual people, and a lot of people within the metaphysical and spiritual community. We go back to this particular study. And so what was this? Because I did write this down. Hold on. So I can give you kind of the dates if you want to look this up yourself. Where did it go? I want to say it was around the 1990s, but I want to make sure that that's correct. Well, where is that part? Hold on. My notes are always all over the place. Yeah, so around the early 1990s, he started experimenting with how vibration and frequency they affect water. And so his early work focused on this Japanese term, and unfortunately I didn't write that part down. I guess I was writing too fast, and then I always I transcribed it myself, so I put it right onto my laptop, but I left that part out. But his early work was focusing on a Japanese term that relates to waves or vibration. And that became kind of the foundation of his theory about water responding to energy. Okay. And so between around 94 and 99, he would freeze and photograph water crystals. And I'm sure you may have seen this before. And he produced his first major findings. How when you would say different words or use different music and thoughts, it influenced the way the water crystals formed. Okay. And so around 99, he published this book, Messages from Water. And it actually has photographs of what I'm talking about, of the crystallized water, and explanations of his experiments. In the 2000s, he gained international attention through this. Okay. He was doing lectures. He was in a documentary. I did see this documentary on YouTube. So if you look him up, and I'm going to tell you how to spell his name if you want to look this up, then you can find, I think the documentary may still be on YouTube. And then later on, he wrote another book called The Hidden Messages in Water, and that was around 2004. Okay. And so, yes, this is an old study. This isn't something that is recent. This isn't something I came up with or another witch, but this is something that we've known for some time now. Now, what I want you to do, based on what I just explained to you, is to go on to YouTube or whatever music app that you use. So I'm not going to endorse any here, but you might use different music apps, right? And so what you can do, it doesn't even have to be specifically related to meditation. It doesn't have to be classical music. It doesn't have to be, related to a particular frequency, but it can. But I do want you to put on something that is upbeat. Is there a song that you relate to manifesting? I have given the examples before of using Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, etc. And when they make songs about money, when they make songs about being bad bitches, all of the above, okay? And so there's just so much going on as I'm recording, and it's driving me nuts because before I recorded, it was so quiet. There's dogs barking. The dryer decided to go off early. Oh my God, I cannot stand that. Anyway, so what I want you to do is to find the right frequency. Find something that relates to what it is that you're wanting to manifest. For instance, if you want to manifest a beautiful marriage, then you might be familiar with this, but Lana Del Rey, her music is used in weddings a lot. So look up one of her songs and play that. And what I want you to do with this glass bottle of water is I want you to put it near where that music is playing. Okay. And as you're doing that, I want you to think about your intentions behind this. I want you to picture it. Okay. If you're picturing this beautiful life together with your person, then I want you to picture that before you even touch that water again. Okay. Let that music play out. Again, you don't have to use meditation music. You don't have to use manifestation related music, but does it help? Yes. Just like it helps us, it helps that water. Okay. Because I believe that Dr. Emoto's research has been something that really shaped how I view water, and I want to see this work out for you. As a practicing witch, water is extremely important in anything that I do. Now, I don't always use moon water in particular, but I do always use water that's in glass, spring water only. Okay. Now, the brand that I use, you don't have to get this brand at all. There are many brands similar, but the brand that I use is called Saratoga. They, again, are not paying me to say that. Now, you maybe heard many people all of a sudden they have discovered Saratoga, but Saratoga is not a new brand. Okay. Not at all. It briefly went viral on TikTok because of some wannabe influencer, but who turned out to be completely a fraud. But for the rest of us, we knew about Saratoga. We did. And there's another brand, and I can never remember the name of it, but it comes in a green bottle. And so that one I recommend for clearing out that heart chakra, for manifesting love, and for manifesting money, because it's green. Okay. So think about the heart chakra. The color green represents that area. You can hear my Santa Muerte necklace moving around because I think she's enjoying this topic, but that is what I'm referring to. Now, when it comes to blue is typically used for protection. Okay. Now, blue can be associated with a lot of things. So just keep that in mind. For you, blue might represent love. For you, blue might represent money. And so if you notice, the Saratoga bottle is blue. And so I don't think that was a coincidence by any means. I didn't look that up. You can look more into that. Share it with the class. Okay. If you found anything about why they chose to use a blue bottle, because I don't really know. But the reason why I mentioned that it's important for me to hang on to that blue glass is that honestly, a lot of us witches purposely use blue glass. Okay, that is very important in our practices. You know that I gatekeep when it comes to teaching about witchcraft and talking about witchcraft, but as a practicing witch, I can tell you that it's important for me to drink my water that I know is protecting me and cleansing me, etc., from a blue glass bottle. So that's just something that I'm putting out there. You can use any brand that works for you. Just make sure that it's not one of these brands, like I said, like Dasani. There's another one, I cannot think of the name of it. It is bothering me, but it actually was called out for, it's a sparkling water brand. It was called out for, I don't know what was found in that water. This is why I wish I could remember the name of the brand. And I don't want to stop the recording just to look that up, but I might have to. But you know what? That's okay, guys. Just look up what I'm talking about. Look up if there's any brands that have been recalled. Let's avoid those. Definitely recommend sparkling water though. Okay. And so I've talked to you about how to make moon water. I've talked to you about how water holds on to memory. And so here's another thing that you can do. We discussed playing particular frequencies, right? Now I want you to think about the intentions behind this water, because you're going to speak it into the water. You know how you speak over yourself with affirmations? That's what you're going to do with your water. Now, I actually had some that I put aside for you, just in case you couldn't think of anything. Let me see. Here's one that I have here. Drink with intention is what I wrote. Okay, so I want you to take the glass bottle in your hand when you're ready to drink it. If you're not going to drink it, you can still do this though. And I want you to say over your water, just as an example, because you can come up with your own. I receive this blessing with gratitude. And so insert whatever blessing you're referring to. I receive this blessing of a successful business. I receive this blessing of financial abundance with gratitude. Okay? Focus on it for a second before you just chug that water. Thank that water for helping you. Thank the universe. Remember, what does the universe encompass, class? Our ancestors, our spirit guides, our guardian angels. I hear all of you at once just naming all of in all the languages that you speak. All right. And breathe into it, because here's another thing that I do in spell work that I don't mind sharing with you. I never ever do candle work or anything regarding water or candles, anything regarding earth, air, fire, water, without breathing my own life into it. The only time that I'm more hesitant is if I'm going to be doing baneful work. Again, we're not talking about that. Baneful work is when you're hexing people. I don't really hex people very often. So in my lifetime, it has definitely been less than 5 people. But I just want to say that is the only time I would say be careful about putting your own DNA into it. But when it comes to water, when it comes to spell work, you're going to breathe into it. Now, sidebar, if you're doing a candle spell, I'm just going to give you a sidebar that has nothing to do with today's topic. Before you put herbs or anything else into it, you're going to breathe into it, okay? That is breathing your own life into the candle, especially if you're giving it as an offering. I never give Santissima anything that I haven't first touched or first, even tried. Sometimes, yes, I do give her and Hoshi sparkling water. They are part of my, temporary altar that I have right now. If you're wondering where my other deities went, they didn't go anywhere. They just, I don't have room right now for my giant altars. So that's okay. More on that in the future. I'll tell you all about it. But when it comes to water, it's the exact same thing. And I'm sorry, I just hit the microphone. It's the exact same thing. Open that water, especially if you're, like I said, this is a brand that already comes in its own glass bottle. When you go to open it, before you take a sip and you set your intention, breathe into that water. That connects you. Okay. Now you're connected, because we're already made up of water anyway. May as well, right? It's about to go into your body. So that's essentially you saying, I'm now bringing that intention into me. Before I start talking into this water, that's what that's what I want to do. I want to hold this intention. I don't want to just drink the water. Okay. That's breathing your life force into it. All right. So another thing you could do, and I'll wrap it up here. Sigils. Have you ever heard of sigils? Sigils are symbols. Now, because this is an audio only podcast, I can't explain to you how to create a sigil. And sigil is spelled S-I-G-I-L. By the way, Dr. Emoto's name is spelled, let me find him. Hold on. Because I don't want to forget. His first name is spelled M-A-S-A-R-U. And his last name is spelled E-M-O-T-O. Okay, so if you want to look up more about his studies, definitely do that. But you can write symbols. In fact, let's say you're like, Josie, I don't know how to make a sigil, and I don't want AI to make it. So what do I do here? I don't want to go on Pinterest. Pinterest is nothing but AI now. You're a witch. You can't tell me how to do this. Yes, I can. What I want you to do, let's say you want to manifest love. Put a heart. Put that heart on the bottle with intention, though. And keep in mind, this is something you might be drinking out of. And so if it doesn't stay on there, doesn't mean it didn't work. It just means, hey, this is water. So it might have condensation if you're drinking cold water. Personally, I don't recommend cold water. It's not really good for your system. And I don't drink cold water. I actually drink room temperature because I have a very sensitive throat. Obviously, as you know, I have to talk on the microphone a lot. And so it's important for me to have room temperature. But if you're drinking cold water, keep that in mind that maybe the sigil thing isn't for you. Maybe not, but if you wanted to still do this, you can. Draw a heart. You trying to manifest money? $sign. Okay. Trying to just manifest peace and happiness? Smiley face. It doesn't have to be this deep thought out artistic level sigil. Okay. Now it can be if you have those skills, but it doesn't have to be. All right. And so here's another thing that you can do that I'm sure that you have heard or seen at some point. And that is you are literally chanting. Now, chanting is something that I recommend when it comes to all forms of manifesting. But grab that bottle with intention. And you can say this over and over and over again until it sounds like a mantra. This is just an example, guys. I am financially abundant. I am financially abundant. I am financially abundant. I am so financially abundant. I am so grateful for my financial abundance. I am so grateful for my financial abundance, over and over and over again. I have a happy marriage. I have a happy marriage. I love my partner. My partner loves me. You get what I mean? Over and over and over. And now drink that water. Get it? By the way, guys, I just taught you a ton of spells. I know that I said that. I don't teach spells. Same difference, guys. Now, did I go into deeply into the spell work of it? No. But words are spells. Intentions are spells. Energy can be a spell. All of it. Frequency. All of it can be a spell. Use it to your advantage. And so it is, I say. To book a personal tarot reading with me, submit your question for the 6th House Virgo segment, or read the full disclaimer, which includes spiritual consent and listener responsibility, visit the official Luanova website, which is luanovapodcast.net. To become a Patreon member, download the Patreon app or visit patreon.com/the Luanova podcast. For those of you who said that you really enjoy the collective readings or you just want to support Luanova, you can do so directly via Venmo or Cash App. The Venmo username is @Luanova. The Cash App username is $Luanovapodcast. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Obrigada.
Lua Nova Collective Tarot Reading. Leitura coletiva de tarô Lua Nova.
You already know the vibes. You already know the vibes, new moons. So, let's talk about the pink unicorn in the room, which is me asking for your consent to read your tarot. If you do not consent to having your tarot cards read, then I will talk to you next week. And to shake it up, we are also going to be adding in I'm sorry, I always forget the name of this one. What's the Tea Oracle cards? Okay, so I'm going to be pulling a card from the What's the Tea Oracle deck as well. But let's see what your message is this week. Spirit, thank you for assisting me with this reading for my new moons. What is the message for my new moons this week? All right. Okay. Let's see. What is this? The 3 of Pentacles. Okay. Couldn't see. Sorry. Starting to get a little dark in here. And it is currently supposed to be close to autumn, but it definitely doesn't feel like it. It's a little bit warm still. So, yeah. Oh, the World. Okay. And Spirit, you know what? Do we want to pull another card since we're going to be pulling an Oracle card as well? You want to do it? I want to do it. Okay. And the 7 of Wands. Okay. Let me put the deck aside for a second. Let's see. Let's put them right there. And starting off with the 3 of Pentacles. Let me see here. Who here heavily relies on their Jupiter sign? Because I immediately saw somebody looking at their Jupiter sign on their birth chart. This is where it comes into play. Because yes, you have always been somebody who's great at helping others and working with other people. And so I see that paying off for you. And the reason why I mention your Jupiter sign in particular is that our Jupiter sign points to how we make money. It points to our expansion in general when it comes to manifesting. And so what I see for you is that during this expansive part of your life, where it seems to just be clicking, and I mean mentally, you're finally starting to get it, that if I don't put so much into worrying and anxiety, and I really begin to not just say the words, but actually live the words of what manifestation actually is, actually live the law of attraction, actually live the law of assumption, etc., it's starting to become easier. And now I see you already helping other people. Your Jupiter sign points to you using that to your advantage. Okay. One, you understand your birth chart. So that alone kind of stands out above the average person. The average person doesn't even take the time to learn about their birth chart. So for those of you where I saw you looking at your Jupiter sign, I want you to turn to your Jupiter sign on your birth chart. And obviously this is a collective reading, so this can apply to many of you. and really look into how to use your Jupiter sign to manifest, because what I'm picking up for you is that it's a financial situation with you. You are wanting to, it looks like you're wanting to expand beyond just your 9 to 5. Okay. So that's not uncommon, but I see almost like I don't want you to lose focus. And so Jupiter is also a planet that it's not strict like Saturn. It doesn't have that strict energy, but Jupiter does have an energy of, I'm not just going to hand it to you. Okay. A long time ago when I was talking about Jupiter, I mentioned the rapper Pitbull. Pitbull is actually great about talking about manifestation, actually, but you notice that his life wasn't based on just one day he was just famous, right? He became bigger and bigger and bigger and more popular. And now, as far as I know, he's still touring, etc. I don't listen to Pitbull, so my bad. It's not to shade him. I just wouldn't know much about him, but I do think he represents the planet of Jupiter's energy very well when it comes to expansion and what manifestation looks like. Okay. And so because you are in this expansive part of your life, I want you to just remain focused. And yes, you're helping other people, but don't forget to help you in this process, because I think that what will make manifesting easier for you is if you know when to really take the plan that I hope that you have already in action and redo it if need be, because that's what I'm kind of feeling here, that there needs to be some tweaks to your plan. Okay. And so the next energy is that of card number 21, the World. Now this card is upright. Remember, I don't read reverse cards. And what I see is obviously there's a part of your life that has already been completed. I saw that from the very beginning of this reading. There's many of you where you finally left behind an energy that was just dull. I immediately I see a parking lot. So you definitely left a job that wasn't going anywhere. So that parking lot tells me that. I'm definitely picking up heavily on that side of your life. Now, one thing that I want to reiterate, I know I've discussed this before at some point, I just don't know when, but as other podcasters say, yes, I'm going to repeat myself. Of course I am. But I need you to understand something, because I want to make sure that I'm putting the right message out here. When I talk about manifesting working for yourself or manifesting a higher paying job, etc., please make sure that you have a plan in place. Do not be like in debt, or you have a giant debt, or your car is about to be repoed, or you can't pay the light bill, and then be like, you know what, I'm just going to walk away from all of it. I don't feel like it. I can manifest more tomorrow. That's not really the message that I'm trying to send you. What I'm trying to say is, yes, the mind can manifest anything. You can manifest enough to cover every bit of every bill, etc. tomorrow. However, what does that entail? That entails being in the right frequency for it. So letting your bills pile up, is that being in the right frequency? No, not at all. Because what that's telling the universe is that you're not actually ready, that you're not even trying. Now, for those of you who are trying, I'm not talking to you at all. I'm talking to the other group that's like, oh, so you know what? I can just say, forget it and just leave it all behind. No, because what that tells the universe is that that's what you're going to keep doing. That every time you manifest something big or something nice or something new, that you're not going to know how to take care of it. And so the World is about completion. That's whenever you see that in a tarot reading, especially right here in the middle of the tarot reading, that tells me that yes, one cycle of your life has completed, but you have so much more that you need to get done. And so what I am picking up on is that there are some of you who don't have that plan ready. You're like, I can just manifest though, right? Yes, you can. But that does entail you using some common sense. Okay, please do not say, you know what, I can just rack up a bunch of credit card debt, right? No. I mean, I don't recommend it. I really don't. And so other manifestation teachers might say, well, actually you can. You're right, because you can manifest overnight. However, we are talking to people where half of you understand what I'm saying, and you understand being in the right mindset and the right frequency, and the other half of you repeatedly keep repeating the same mistake over and over and over again. and then wondering why you can't hold on to manifestations. Well, let's see. When you got that new condo, did you take care of it? Or did you expect somebody else to do it? Let's see. When you got that brand new car, did you even get it washed? Did you make sure that you're up on the registration, etc., depending on where you live? Are you taking care of the new car? When you got in that relationship, did you still continue to go on dates? Or did you just say whatever? Okay, whatever. That's what I'm referring to. That energy right there versus the person who's like, I'm in this relationship and I really value this person and I want to make sure that they always feel valued. I really value my relationship with this deity, so let me make sure that I always keep my altar clean. Let me make sure that I'm constantly keeping up with that relationship. Let me make sure that now that I have completed this one cycle of my life that needed to be done, whether that be school, whether that be I changed jobs, whether that be I got a new car, all of it is a completion of one chapter of your life. But there are many other chapters, right? You got to keep going. We keep manifesting, don't we? So don't you want to decide to manifest in a way where you're actually happy with it? Where you're actually hanging on to it. And so that's what the world card was pointing to. That's what I'm saying here. And so to confirm all of this is the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands tells me that some of you need to be doing some protection work over yourselves. All right. And learning how to maintain self-control based on what I just said. Based on your protection work, it's not because there's a bunch of negative entities. That's not what I'm picking up on for you. What I am picking up on is the protection work has to do with your own mindset. I'm almost saying you need to protect yourself from you, from continuing to stay on the right path. So I want you to do little things. We talked about water today. When you're done with that water and that bottle is complete and let's say you've decided to keep that water, I want you to use that water as a placeholder. Keep that bottle clean. Keep it full of moon water or manifestation water. But check up on it. And the reason I want you to do that is that I'm trying to get you to build a routine of where you are showing gratitude, where you are taking care of what it is that you have and not just discarding it or not just being like, I can just get another one, because that energy is why you keep manifesting and it keeps crashing and burning very quickly, or why you watch other people like myself manifest very easily and quickly. And you're like, why is it you're able to do it? I'm able to do it because I'm constantly in the right frequency. I'm trying to get you there. When I've talked about those chakras being aligned and how to keep them in line, the whole reason I started off this season with that was partly because obviously I was healing from grief, but also because I saw firsthand from my own clients and my own listeners that some of you were missing the part where you had to heal first. You want to manifest a Ferrari, but you don't know how to take care of the Camry. Make it make sense. What? Look at how you treat what you already have. You want to manifest a happy marriage, yet you have a really negative view of the opposite sex or the same sex, depending on what it is that you like. You want to manifest brand new furniture, but look how you've taken care of that couch you have. What? When was the last time you looked in those couch cushions? Just saying. So, if I can get you to take care of a glass bottle, now you're understanding the frequency, because that glass bottle that's empty, doesn't even have water in it, has the same frequency as $1 million. Okay? $1 has the same frequency as $1 billion. All of it is based on your mindset. That's what I'm trying to get you to do. So the Seven of Wands tells me that we still got some work to do. Thankfully, we are not at the end of the season. And so to end this reading, I am going to pull a card from the What's the Tea Oracle deck. There is no author listed here, or else I would tell you all who created it. I have no idea, but I've actually seen this deck on TikTok, so I'm sure you can get it from the TikTok shop if you're fine with that. And the card that you got is, hold on. Wasn't feeling drawn to any of those. Sorry for the dead air there. Look at that. Adulting. And this one says, yep, mature efforts, being responsible, keeping shit in check. What did I just say? What did I just say? Did I not just say that? Thank you, universe, for confirming that for me. Thank you to all of the spirit guides that are here. Hold on. What they know when I'm closing something out. They always want to jump in. One of them told me to move my spray bottle. Okay. I moved it. Tell her I hug her. Tell her I hug her. I'm hugging her. Okay. That's what I just heard. Tell her I'm hugging her. Sometimes I wonder, you guys, can you tell when there's spirit activity in here? Obviously, when I did where I was, I had you all pick a card, the oracle reading messages from heaven, you might have heard Hoshi's spirit because he knocked on a little bench, which is very short. It's this little bench that you can stand on, for instance, if you need to change the light bulb, something like that. And it was near where his ashes are. So I knew that had to be Hoshi because I was talking about him and it was the only thing in that area. So I was like, well, what else would it be? But I always wonder if you all can hear that. And yeah, that's your reading for this week. It's time to do I hate the word adulting, by the way. I don't know who came up with that, but I want them to get rid of it. But it's time to really get it together. Okay? You can make all these plans and say all these affirmations, but you can listen to every episode I have put out, every tarot reading, book readings with me, etc. But when I can tell that you're only doing half the work, it's why I know that those manifestations aren't sticking. It's why I know that there's still a blockage there. All right. So I'm just trying to get you to get past that point because I want you to hang on to those manifestations and continue to manifest what it is that you want. All right, new moons.
Oh, we got a text from Spirit.
And this week's text from Spirit says, let's see. "1616. Seek balance. Find balance in your life. It's the key to inner peace and outer success." Obrigada, new moons, for aligning with the frequency of the Lua Nova podcast. If you would like to book a personal tarot reading with me, if you want to submit your questions to the show, or if you want to leave your feedback, all of the above, you want to chat with me or the Lua Nova team, all of that information can be found at the official Lua Nova website, which is luanovapodcast.net. Please keep in mind that I am not booking any more readings for the rest of 2025, but you can book them for 2026. Okay. If you would like to become a Patreon member, go to patreon.com/the Luanova podcast. In the show notes, by the way, you can find all of this information, including the Venmo and the Cash App. If you want to donate, let me give shout outs to the people who have this week. Hold on just a second. Let me find you. Shout out to Lori. Shout out to Stellan. Oh my God, I'm going to screw that up. I'm just going to call you EW. Shout out to Stephanie and Talia. And all of you are from different places. Normally I'll just say where you're from. Oh, and of course, Zara. There you are again. And hold on. Renee, and you're in California. Okay. I just want to make sure that I mention all of the people who always give donations. I appreciate you. Thank you for helping Lua Nova grow. Thank you for helping the Lua Nova team. Remember, you don't have to give anything monetarily. All you have to do is tune in every single week. Every single Monday, there are brand new episodes of Lua Nova. If you would share my podcast and let other people know, I would appreciate that. That means everything to me because obviously I am trying to get the show to grow. Now, I have been told, hey, I noticed that you don't really give YouTube any love. No shade to YouTube, but when my podcast automatically uploads, as far as I know, I don't know because I never check, it doesn't upload the entire episode. So I don't really recommend listening to Lua Nova over there. You can But I recommend, since this is an audio podcast, that you just listen to it wherever it is you prefer to listen to Lua Nova at. And I will talk to you next week, new moons. Please be safe. Have a safe rest of your weekend. Hug your loved ones. Tell your loved ones that you are grateful for them and that you are grateful for that water that you are drinking. Now I'm about to go have some of that myself. All right, new moons. Ciao. Ciao, ciao.